A couple of names that I wanted to dive into. One is Daniel Jones, who had the huge game on Thursday night for the Giants, was the leading rusher, had one rushing touchdown, had another one that was actually called back because of a penalty. But even then, go back his week one, gave you 20-plus points in the first week. We have been waiting for the Daniel Jones, the Danny Dimes breakout. Is it starting to happen now, or is this just a couple of good matchups?
No, I think it's starting to happen, at least for fantasy purposes. I think he can be like what Josh Allen was before Josh Allen became like an MVP type candidate, which is he could be a QB1 just because of what he gives you with his legs. Then you add in that he could throw like 250 yards in a TD like he did in week 2, and then you're talking about a really useful fantasy quarterback. I mean, 95 rushing yards and a touchdown. That is Lamar Jackson type of production, and like you said, Marcus, it could have been even better. He was looking to run often. There was a lot of designed runs for him as well. This looks like a part of his game that is not going to go away. And we talk about it all the time. Rushing quarterbacks are cheat codes in fantasy football.
In the bigger part, through the first 2 weeks, he's limited the turnovers. He's lost one fumble, but through 2 games, doesn't have an interception just yet. And that has been my contention, that if he can ever just curb the giveaways, then suddenly he does turn into that quarterback that we all think he can be. It's just that so far in his career, that has been the one thing really holding him back. In the same division, Tony Pollard had a really big game in week 2 for the Cowboys going against the Chargers. Week 1 was on the field quite a bit. At this point, does this mean the Cowboys have 2 usable running backs? I mean, are we confident that Tony Pollard deserves to be in lineup somewhere now?
Yeah, I think Tony Pollard could carve a large enough role. I think he's in the process of doing so where he is a weekly flex option. But what I think is if Ezekiel Elliott was to go down, like if Zeke got hurt, Tony Pollard is an RB1 right away, no questions asked. That's why I think he is this week's top pickup. This week he had 13 carries and 3 targets on for 140 yards and a touchdown. But when you look at the numbers, like he averaged more yards before and after contact than Zeke did. We know he's faster, he's more explosive runner at this point in his career. And Marcus, I saw you having some fun on Twitter yesterday saying that he is the Cowboys' best running back. I know you were kind of joking, but there was a lot of times where he often has looked like their most explosive runner. So I think he's just going to continue to carve out a role in this offense.
Yeah, I was definitely trying to stir the pot a little bit, but I think there are people that are, starting to at least embrace the notion that he should be getting more work. I don't know that anybody is fully on the side of, Zeke should be pushed aside, but I do think there's conversation about Tony Pollard getting more opportunity in this offense. And certainly, as you mentioned, there were times on Sunday when he looked like he had way more burst than Ezekiel Elliott did, and maybe deserves to get some more snaps and some more opportunities there. So, all right, so you said he would be your top waiver wire target. I say mine is going to be Sony Michel, and that is even with the game coming against the Buccaneers notwithstanding. I start to think that the Rams are going to be using him more in the offense. We'll certainly wait to see what happens with Darrell Henderson this week as he's dealing with a rib injury, how, if he's available and how much they might want to use him. But I still think that the Rams don't necessarily want to lean on one running back as a true workhorse the way they did with Todd Gurley. I think for Sean McVay, those days are sort of done. And Sony Michel, being a veteran presence, is a guy that I think has some long-term lasting value in this offense. Like I said, I know you said that you wouldn't play him this week depending on circumstances against the Bucs, but he does have to be rostered at this point, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, after Tony Pollard, Sony Michel would be the next RB I'd be looking to add off the waiver wire right now.
All right. So then, of course, to pick somebody up, we have to drop somebody. Who would you be dropping this week?
Yeah, I know I was pretty upset about Justin Herbert, but I don't think I'm ready to drop him just yet. But I've been getting questions about people asking me if they should be dropping Justin Herbert. I don't think you should. I would be holding on to him. But some players I think you can drop this week, Marcus, are Zach Ertz, like Jonnu Smith. He hasn't really gotten going yet. Trey Sermon we spoke about earlier. And then Marquez Callaway, who's been held to single-digit receiving yards in both of those first 2 games. I think he could be dropped as well.
Yeah, the Callaway one is disappointing because I really thought big things were coming for him, and who knows, maybe they are, but the first 2 weeks have not really been good. I'm very surprised that people are panicked on Josh Herbert just this soon. Maybe because he didn't light it up against the Cowboys. I don't know. One name I would add there is Phillip Lindsay, who he's got touchdowns in each of the first 2 games, but I also don't think he's given you more than like 22 or 23 yards in each game. So, the touchdowns are nice, but as I always say, they are fickle beasts. You can't count on them each and every week. And if he's not scoring a touchdown, the floor is frighteningly low for him in an offense that really has sort of turned to Mark Ingram as its primary runner and is still getting David Johnson involved as a pass catcher. I like Phillip Lindsay, but it just doesn't seem like the opportunity is going to be there enough for him to warrant him taking up a space on your roster. I do want to ask you real quick, because I know one of the names that you thought about adding was A.J. Green. I know he had the touchdown. He had 44 yards receiving. I don't know if I can get behind A.J. Green. Are you buying in that maybe he's going to be something?
I think he's a deeper league ad only. I had a big sigh there because I mean, in the first 2 games, he's been second in snaps and in targets amongst their receivers. So I think he right now is the number 2 option. But the Cardinals utilize more 4 wide. Only the Bills use 4 wide receivers more than the Cardinals do. And I think as the year progresses, Kirk and Rondale Moore, if they keep playing how they are right now, they will steal more work away. But I think if you're in a deeper league and A.J. Green was kind of just sitting out there on the waiver wire, he has a safe floor where I think the other guys have the high ceiling.